So maybe you're fresh to Turo, or maybe you haven't even started yet. You're probably in the sponge stage where you just want to soak up all the Turo info you possibly can. You've probably found yourself on YouTube searching endlessly about whether Turo is a viable business or not. Odds are you've seen videos like this that have told you to stay away no matter what. Well, today I'm going to be going over the lessons I've learned going from a $0 host at the beginning of the pandemic to over 6 figures already in 2022. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel because if you're here for today's content, you're definitely going to want to see what I've got coming in the pipeline. It's just one click away and it helps the channel out tremendously. While you're there, if you want to like the video and hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload content, feel free to do so also. But with that, let's hop right into the video. So going back to what I was saying earlier, today I wanted to focus in on this video specifically. Lessons learned from a failing Turo rental car business. To be honest, when I was just getting into Turo, I came across this video and it almost scared me away. Listening to this guy, I thought to myself, it didn't work for him, how's it gonna work for me? And this is where our first lesson comes in. Lesson number 1 is that your Turo journey will be completely unique to you. What I mean by this is that you absolutely decide your own fate in this business. You have to consider the whole picture. Your systems and even the situations you encounter will be completely different than the guy in that video. He had a fleet ridden with damage claims, which is likely due to the fact that he had nothing but sports cars in his fleet. People don't rent sports cars to drive slow. If damage claims are something that have been deterring you from starting Turo, tailor your fleet to renters that are less likely to drive fast or reckless. For example, we personally don't buy sports cars for that reason. We tailor more to families, and that's why most of our fleet consists of hatchback, crossover, SUVs. Damage claims still happen, but they're few and far between. And when they do happen, it's usually not a total loss, or anything that even gets reported on a Carfax. Moving on to the next lesson I've learned. Lesson number 2 is to not buy cars from those mom and pop dealerships. And on top of that, be very wary when buying on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. When our fleet was newer and we wanted to expand quickly, we made the painful mistake of purchasing a couple of vehicles from mom and pop dealerships. It almost bankrupted our fleet before it could even grow. Let's jump into what happened to us. One day, I was on Car Gurus and I saw that there was a 2011 Chevy Equinox with like 75,000 miles on it for $8,000 at this dealership. This was like $3,000 under market value, and without considering why it was priced so perfectly, I went and saw the car immediately. Did a test drive and it drove smooth, asked my mechanic what he thought of it, and he said it looked and drove pretty decently. So with his approval and my business partner's approval, we bought the car and immediately got it ready for Turo. We took pictures the same day and listed it immediately. And of course, with the preferences that we offer, it was rented within hours. But then, on its third trip, a renter drove it like 2,000 miles in one day, and when she brought it back, the check engine light was on and my heart dropped through the floor. I immediately took it to an authorized Chevy dealership to have it checked out, and a couple hours later, the service advisor calls me and he literally asked me if I was sitting down before he told me what was wrong. I took a seat, and this man proceeded to tell me that the car needed $5,000 worth of work to it. I told him thanks and that I was coming to pick up the car. When I picked it up, I asked for a list of things that were wrong, and I brought it directly back to the dealership that I bought it from because I had seen reviews that he would take a car back within 2 weeks of buying it. It had only been 8 days at that point, and so when I rolled up and I handed him the list of everything that was wrong with the car, he said he would check it out. This man scanned the car through the OBD port and told me that it just had an evap leak. I literally laughed at his face and said, if that's all that's wrong with it, you shouldn't have a problem taking it back and selling it to someone else. And that's what happened. Thankfully, I was able to get out of that deal, and as I mentioned before, we even made like $1,000 on it through Turo. Now for lesson number 3. This is true not only for Turo, but in life. And the lesson is that it's not always about what you know, but also about who you know. In this business, there are certain people that you can meet and form relationships with in order to stay on top, have a competitive edge, not go broke, all of the above. To give you a couple examples, here are 4 people that I think are game changers for your Turo business and why. The first person you absolutely need to form a relationship with is a mechanic. Your cars are going to need work, there's no way around this. And if you can form a relationship with a mechanic, you both can mutually benefit. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you go to a normal car dealership or shop, you're probably going to be paying in the neighborhood of $150 to $200 per labor hour. But if you're able to form a relationship with a mechanic instead, you might only have to pay $60 to $70 per labor hour for your work, saving you a ton of money. Your mechanic will likely be happy too, because 60 to 70 bucks is still amazing money. You also might be able to get your car in sooner and out of the shop faster, which will make you more money in the end. I would go so far as to say that this relationship is mandatory. Maybe you know somebody that's a mechanic, like I did. Invest in that relationship. Or just join car groups in your area. Anything to make this relationship happen. The second person you need to form a relationship with is a banker. This will help you in so many ways. They can help you set up accounts, apply for credit cards or loans, anything bank related. The right banker will go the extra mile to help you out as well, connecting you to individuals for help and sometimes even putting in a good word. The way we went about doing this was starting an LLC, and if you don't have one, I'll have the video right here in the top corner for you, and then with an LLC, going to start a business account. With our business account, we started to go to the same person every single time we had a question that was banking related, and the relationship formed pretty organically that way. The third person you need to form a relationship with is a car salesman. Not one at a mom and pop shop, but at a certified dealership like Toyota, Honda, Mazda, whatever the case might be. They can keep you informed of amazing deals on the lot, and when it comes time to buy, they can usually work out an amazing price on a car for you, especially if you tell them you'll be repeat business at their dealership. This relationship is super easy to form. All you really have to do is show them that you mean business. For us, that meant going into the dealership and buying 2 cars at the same time, and then a couple months later, coming back and buying 4 cars at the same time. I now have our salesman's contact info and plan to go back to him whenever we need another vehicle. And the fourth person that I think is imperative for your Turo business is an amazing CPA that is willing to do research into how rental car businesses work and help you save a ton of money on your taxes. I'm not going to get into the specifics on the money that you can save yourself because that's what your CPA is for, but the numbers are truly unbelievable. Have a sit-down conversation with a few candidates and explain to them what it is that you do. They should be able to come up with quite a few ways where they can save you a lot of money legally on your taxes. With our CPA, he's also our go-to person for lots of business-related questions. They truly are game changers for your business, and this is a relationship that you should prioritize in year number 1. For lesson number 4, this is going to be quick. Lesson number 4 is to simply follow the terms of service to a T. With Turo, if you do everything the way you're supposed to, you're always going to be covered in the event that anything happens. What that looks like for us is taking tons and tons of pre-trip photos, I mean literally over 100, 200, sometimes even 300 pictures. Doing so enables us to get literally any damage covered, and smoking charges are a breeze when renters do eventually smoke in the cars. It also gives us great peace of mind because if you're only taking 5, 10, or sometimes no photos, if anything happens to your car, your business is going to sink. Other rules that we follow with no exception are not performing literally any gray market deals. We don't accept cash for anything other than damage to the car. Everything else is funneled through Turo. That means gas reimbursement, smoking charges, deliveries, everything. We do not take any chances, and that has allowed us to become a very successful Turo fleet. And for lesson number 5, this might resonate with a lot of you. Lesson number 5 is to do your research, but to also act on it. Turo is a game of action. You have to be active in your business in order to see it grow. Don't fall victim to analysis paralysis. Turo is not as hard as some people make it out to be, as long as you have the right systems in place. Obviously, don't jump in blind, but if you've been thinking to yourself that you've done enough research and you just want to start already, then by all means follow your gut. As I said at the beginning of the video, there are a ton of other videos on YouTube that will tell you to never touch Turo because you'll be doomed to fail. But if you do all the right things, that's simply untrue. It's working for thousands of people and can work for you too. If you happen to fall in this category and have other questions of things that are worrying you or stopping you from starting, feel free to drop them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to reply. But with those 5 lessons covered, I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, I'd appreciate you leaving a like on the video, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell to be notified of future content uploads. And until next time, take care everybody.